What's up? Welcome to the Odyssey. So this is a special change of pace. This is going to be episode 12 of the podcast. I've gone up to about 18 episodes so far, so I'm very excited to start a new format for this whole video setup. So basically, this includes having videos with the podcast, at least intros, because these were already pre-recorded. So that means that I'm going to talk about it briefly before, maybe a little bit afterwards too. And with that, I can actually add a little bit more of my thoughts and retrospect stuff afterwards as well. So this was actually inspired heavily by the video of the Mass Effect ending that I saw that was fan made, that you'll check out in the link below. Check it out, it is really awesome. It inspired me to write this fan fiction of it that I wanted to for a while, but that ending sparked it. So like I said before, this is part 1, so part 2 will be coming eventually. I don't know when I'm gonna write it, but I really wanted to get this done and just written so people could hear it, because I really enjoyed writing it. I missed writing fan fiction because most of my writing is stuff from my own original stuff. It was really refreshing being able to do that for this. And without further ado, I hope you really enjoy it. I wish I could have added more professionalism to it, but expect that in part 2 with sound effects, voice alterations, and etc. So I hope you do enjoy it. I was kind of pressed for time when I did this, so I did put my heart into it. I did, but you put your absolute best in at the time, even if it isn't the absolute best that it can be, if you know what I mean. I hope that made sense. You put your best into it, but it may not be the best that it absolutely can be. Boom. But my heart's in it, so I hope that's enough for you all to enjoy. Enjoy. Episode 2. Episode 12, son. I should go save the galaxy. One way or the other, this was the final push. Only one side would be victorious. For both sides, the cost would be too great if they were to lose. It was all or nothing. There they stood at the edge of the crater. The luminous glow of the beam in the middle of it was so close. This victory was within their grasps. But could they catch it? All they had to do was get past Harbinger. Easier said than done. But it was finally ready to be done. Anderson gave the command and they charged. Despite his older, seasoned age, he kept a steady pace behind Shepard, Tali, Javik, and Garrus. The raging crimson beam screamed out as it shot out along the battlefield. For many people, this was it. This was the end for them. Like ants under a magnifying glass. No matter how many times they saw it, it was never a combination of senses to ever get used to. This would haunt them for years. It was odd though. Shepard was without a doubt the main target, just as he has always been. Yet none of the beams were aimed directly at him. More of a guide to set a path to the luminous portal. While everyone else who wasn't as close to Shepard and his crew were not. They were targets, soon to be sent to oblivion. A command for the Normandy and a few other ships to bring in a proper distraction of Harbinger was requested a few moments ago, and they were almost there. For a brief moment, things slowed. Sound faded to mere echoes in Shepard's head. All he could hear was a jumbled bunch of whispers saying, "Join us." At that moment though, it was hard to make out because of the distortion and unnatural sound to it. But it sounded synthetic. This kept happening alongside scratching not only in his ears, but in the back of his head. Not just before he left Earth after being grounded, but back at the collector's base. In a brief few seconds, it was back to normal. His adrenaline and soldier drive kept him going. Before, though, it was not as coherent. Only now was it being more clear. Once more, it spoke out to him. And this is when he was able to hear it fully. Join us, Shepherd. We are your ascension. Live forever through us. He paused, body shook and in pain. In the midst of this, now he quickly had to work on dodging a Mako that was flipped through the air towards them from the blast of Harbinger. This wrecked vehicle divided them as all four leaped out of the way, while Anderson was shortly behind them, helping up a fellow soldier. Turning in worry to his crew, his family, he saw them hurt. The hit they took would have made it suicide for them to continue on. And while this mission was dire, Shepard and Anderson could take it from here. The Normandy arrived in its grace and opened up for its crew. 2 crewmates were there to help. Shepard helped his love, Tally, up. Anderson helped Garrus while Javik did fine with a small limp. Something he proudly said he'd walk off. He was not done yet. He refused. I can't leave you here, Tally called out. Shepard knew her well enough to know there were tears accompanying those words. You won't be. I'll be seeing you soon, Shepard said with confidence. Java continued to persist. Shepard understood and honored his wishes to stay alongside him and Anderson. It also helped that he wasn't nearly as hurt as the others. The door closed. Tally's eyes didn't break contact with Shepard until then. Garrus was angry at himself, thinking he had been sloppy in that moment. Wanted to be back out there just as badly as Tally did. He placed his hand on her shoulder and said, We followed him through fire and back. He's done the same for us. We've done our part. You know what I've told him of once? The collectors managed to kill him. Once. And all that did was piss him off. It's just one more mission for him, he said with a hurting smile. She lightly chuckled and said, Yeah, one more mission. The trio continued to push until eventually something else could be heard from the sky other than the raging of the war before them. From the sky came a booming voice echoing in Shepard's head. The Reapers will not win this day. Shepard, you will fight or you will die. From the sky, multiple Leviathans came down. Only one descended upon Harbinger, while the others went elsewhere to fight. Javik looked up saying, Since when could those things fly? Shepard simply just shook his head, shrugged his shoulders and said, I don't know what to expect anymore. But we have another force on our hands to help, so I'm not complaining. In the quarrel, both had gotten many hard hits, but in the end, the Leviathan was victorious. The elements of surprise helped greatly. But this Leviathan was badly hurt. But that it wouldn't stop it from continuing to fight, even to its last breath. As Harbinger had fallen to a fiery and torn demise, a loud screech of "Ascension" rang out into Shepard's mind. He screamed in pain, disorientated. One last beam from Harbinger came out, aimed at the last Prothean. It shot out as Anderson had grabbed them both out of the way, but not enough to fully escape the blast. There was a burning bright white light. Shepard was on his back, badly burned and in desperate need of medical attention. He got up slowly, looking around to see no one around him but dead bodies. But something was up with his vision. It was blurry and unclear. His mind was foggy, The only thing that ran out in his head was, "Come to us." It drew him to the beam, but everything now around him was slowed once again. Low light and white noise all around. Things did not seem right at all, but he knew this was where he needed to go. Just a few short feet remained. Behind a large rock, 2 husks emerged. Shepard tirelessly lifted his arm and fired. There they laid, done. Next, Shepard was hit in the arm by a marauder. It wouldn't stop him from taking the next shot. Finally, he stepped through the beam and closed his eyes. Anderson is finally able to get a contact of Shepard once they entered the Citadel. Anderson explains briefly how him and Javik were able to regain consciousness as they saw Shepard enter the portal and followed behind him. But unfortunately, after they met up, they fell under a trap by the elusive man and were frozen in place by the elusive man's frightening new powers. They go back and forth, spotting the other is wrong while they are right, which leads to Anderson finally being shot, and then the elusive man being talked into shooting himself shortly after to break the hold of the indoctrination. He had finally seen the error of his ways, thanks to Shepard. And as he laid on the ground, about to pass, 2 fleeting thoughts entered his mind. One was seeing how beautiful the earth was through his eyes, and that he even said to Shepard how he wished he could see the earth the way he did. And the other one was of sadness even further, and yet happiness. Sadness because he would not be there to continue leading humanity as a legacy. But at the same time, he was happy knowing that he played a major part in bringing Shepard back from the dead, and that through him, his legacy would live on, because without him, Shepard would not be here to save the galaxy. But unfortunately, thanks to the elusive man, who had unintentionally broken down a wall, the last bit of the wall in Shepard's mind, Harbinger was finally able to break fully into Shepard's mind to assume direct control. As he had continually buried a piece of him into Shepard, slowly from Mass Effect 2 onward, Javik had tried something drastic. He entered Shepard's psyche through touch, as he sees Shepard's eyes glow yellow, sensing the stench of the Reaper in him. He had only tried this once before, on a dear, dear friend. He didn't save the friend, but he had hoped now that he would, because he had lost so much before, and he refused to lose again. He would be more than the voice of the Prothean race. He would be the hero. They were both out of it into Shepard's mind now. It was dark, and an exact replica of the nightmare Shepard had throughout Mass Effect 3, of himself following the kid who he could not save. Before them all stood their comrades, Joker, EDI, Tali, Garrus, and onward. While this was going on, Anderson made his way to the command desk. He tried to call out to Shepard and Javik, but they just stood there, eyes glowing yellow. He worried about them, but he had a mission to do, and he made sure he would come back to them as soon as possible. But right now, billions of lives, billions upon billions, counted on him to make this mission not in vain. He had one metagel left, and it was slightly damaged, but it would work, so he used it on himself. Unfortunately, the wound was bad enough to eventually kill him, but what metagel he had left would prolong that for now. He contacted the Normandy to update them on what was happening. The Citadel opened once more as Anderson fiddled with the commands. Then, The platform lifted with the three of them going up. Back with Shepard and Javik, their friends surrounded them, with smiles on their faces. But among them, Shepard noticed others, ones who had been lost before in battle. KIA, Morden, Thane, Legion, and Caden were there. Shepard, Javik, they all said in unison. The Reapers here, they're here to save us. We can live in peace. We just have to allow them to save us. Hearing all this, the two were in disbelief. Thane, Morden, Legion, and Caden died due to heroic sacrifices. They died fighting the Reapers, not embracing them. But why did giving in feel like the right choice? Why did all of a sudden the Reapers' logic make sense? The indoctrination had finally caught up to the two. But together, it would not work. They fought it, and the area around them shook violently as they yelled out in unison, "No!" Harbinger, realizing this wasn't going to work, put into further action. "Join us!" they all ordered in that same inhuman, distorted voice. Javik and Shepard pulled out assault rifles from their backs and fired. "You've lost, Harbinger. Get out of my head," Shepard yelled. "The Reapers will fall. That is your fate," Javik joined in. As they fired away, realizing it was only a dream, the nightmare versions of them joined together to become something never seen before. A new Reaper of literal nightmare. To be continued. Well, I really hope you guys enjoyed this kind of fan fiction of the Mass Effect 3 ending. I've been wanting to do this for a very long time because I wasn't fully happy with the ending, just like a lot of people were. But just recently, I actually found a really, really awesome ending on YouTube that I'll send a link in the bottom description. And, well, in my description below. Yeah, can't talk. But I loved it a lot, but at the time, before watching that, I was already working on this ending. So I took elements from that and implemented it into this because I loved everything about it, but I still wanted to make my own ending because I thought, how cool would it be fighting a new Reaper at the end of the game? That would have been amazing, especially if it was inside Shepard's mind, because I love the indoctrination theory, and I just thought, how cool would it be if that actually was a possibility? So feel free to look at the link and watch the video. It's very long, but I encourage you, if you're a Mass Effect fan and didn't fully enjoy the ending, this is the ending for you. It is really good. So without that further ado, thanks guys for watching. Part 2 will be coming out soon, and until this wind hits our sails yet again, I will see you on the next podcast. And yeah, I did say thanks for watching and not listening. My bad.